What's up, witches? My name is Taylor, and I'm the Tempest Witch here on YouTube. And I've got some thoughts. Specifically, I have thoughts about the new Loki series. Some good, some bad. I haven't seen full episodes yet. I've seen bits and pieces from spoilers and trailers and people highlighting things. It's just how it goes. My problem is I really don't want to support Disney, so I'm trying to figure out a way to watch the series without having Disney Plus, which is harder than you think it is. But I figured I would just go over just some of my thoughts regarding Loki and his character progression and just have a conversation. I figured I would just be a little chill today, so this is what we're gonna do. For starters, it's come to my attention that Disney was trying to trademark Loki, and within certain ways they can definitely trademark the Marvel version of Loki. So the green outfit, the bronze horns, Tom Hiddleston, like all of that can be trademarked because it is an adaptation from the Norse god. However, they can't trademark Loki as the character of the Norse gods. So you have to keep that distinction pretty intact because that's the world we live in. But Disney was getting a lot of just devotional material to Loki taken down because it literally just said the word Loki. Not simpatico. I'm not having a good time watching Disney just try to take things over. But there was a while back when Disney also tried to trademark Dia de los Muertos, which of course people rose up against, and they were like, this has been happening long before you were even an idea. Check yourself. But I get so annoyed when companies, especially gigantic companies like Disney, try to overstep their bounds and trademark things. It's kind of the same vibe I get when Taylor Swift trademarked the color red. It's stupid and just physically makes me sick. So that's one of the reasons I don't want to support Disney and I don't want to get Disney Plus, but I want to watch some of the things that they're writing, so it's a whole debacle. That's a personal thing, still working on that, I'll figure it out later. Some of the things I am enjoying is they're making Loki his own character. And for most of the Thor series, Loki just played second fiddle to Thor, and because they were depicted as brothers and not with Loki being Thor's like uncle, more or less, because Loki is actually Odin's blood brother, he's not Thor's blood brother in the mythologies. I always found it strange that Tom Hiddleston's version of Loki was always playing second fiddle to Chris Hemsworth, just because Loki's very powerful, and yes, he's a trickster, but he plays second fiddle to no one. And it's kind of insulting that they painted him that way for a while. So I do enjoy the fact that he's getting more of a fleshed out character. I found out that the director of the Loki series is actually a bisexual woman, which is cool and kind of explains why Loki is becoming more of a fleshed out character, just because they added a lot more of the emotional side and the motivations that Loki would have towards doing things, because inherently Loki is an agent of chaos. He's not evil as he's depicted in a lot of the more recent mythologies that people are making and adaptations. The thing that people need to remember about the Norse gods is that a lot of our reading material is written from the perspective of Christian monks. So you have to take all of the stories with a grain of salt, because through the Christian lens, Loki is the only character that really fits in the idea of being a devil figure. Loki is not a devil figure. Loki was never seen as inherently evil. Tricksters are often demonized within their culture or externally from their culture. Loki was never supposed to be the bad guy. Loki was never seen as the bad guy. He made decisions that caused change, and it is very important within Norse paganism that change occur. things that are written in the general fate of everything can always be changed, and to a certain degree, everything in the future can change based on the actions of people, Loki being a very big catalyst for those changes. So Loki plays a very important part in the mythologies, and he was very much watered down in the Thor series with like Thor Ragnarok and everything previous to that, just because they needed a bad guy. And I thought that was always a little bit unfair. So I'm very happy to see that this new Loki series, they're fleshing Loki out a little bit more. In addition, in the Loki series, they have finally, like, canonically made Loki a gender fluid creature, person, being, a gender fluid being, because in the traditional mythology, if you read the stories, Loki as a shapeshifter is a very fluid character. It's more than just, oh, he's a shapeshifter so he can become whatever he wants. His external presentation of how he shapeshifts is a reflection of the internal changes that he makes. So in the story where Thor and Loki have to go get Mjolnir back, when Thor dresses up as a bride in, you know, looking like Freya, and then goes to the Hall of the Jotuns to like get Mjolnir back, Loki in the mythologies doesn't keep the same pronouns. Thor continues to be he, even though he's in disguise as a woman, but Loki just is a woman. And so I'm really appreciating that the Loki series is kind of fleshing out him as a character, or really them as a character, because Loki's identity, both in his gender and his sexuality and everything, just kind of ebbs and flows as he feels. So I think gender fluid is the best representation of that identity. In Old Norse, there were different understandings of gender. They were a lot more lax and a lot more fluid than the very set understandings of gender identity that we have today, which we're slowly unlearning those. It was still more of a patriarchal society, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily so rigid. It was more frowned upon to be called womanly or feminine, which was the term ergi, E-R-G-I. To be called ergi was an insult, but not a super damning insult. It wasn't all bad. People were making fun of Odin himself because he was called ergi when he learned satyr magic, because he turned himself into a woman in order to learn satyr magic from Freya. There's a lot of depictions in the mythology of the gods having their identities ebb and flow as they need or as they wanted. So to circle back, I really enjoy that this version of Loki is a lot more true to the original myth. I think we need to keep in mind, because some people are mad, some people are big mad about the fact that, you know, Loki is considered gender fluid, and it's like, dude turned into a female horse and gave birth to a horse, and you're mad that he's considered gender fluid? Overall, I think that it's going to be a good series. I guess he sang a song in Norwegian, which some people were saying was really cool because that wouldn't happen in another context. It might have been a little bit more accurate for him to be singing in Icelandic, just because Icelandic is a little bit closer to Old Norse. Not a big deal. Kind of the only real issue I've seen with people having with the series so far. But I'm still considering doing a like Norse Pagan Reacts series of watching the various episodes throughout the season and just kind of giving my takes from knowing the mythologies and seeing how closely they stick to certain ideas or where they add in new ideas, because I think that it's cool. I very much enjoy the cultural adaptations that Marvel has created in the sense of the two characters of Thor and Loki. There are some things that is just like, you took that and ran with it, huh? So yeah, those are just a couple of my thoughts. I figured I would just make a quick video on what I'm thinking. My friend Kat was just like, what do you think? What do the gods think about this? And I'm like, honestly, I think they would enjoy the adaptations of it, and they understand that they're not a direct representation of the gods themselves, though there are certain points within the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general that they do dumb down some of the characters just a little bit. They capture some essences pretty well, but at the same time, there's so much more depth to these beings that they leave out. But of course, within a cinematic universe, you can only add so much. So I get that. Overall, I've really enjoyed the Marvel takes on Loki and Thor and Odin. Not really about Hel. I'll make a whole video on that someday. But overall, I do enjoy the movies. I really like superhero movies, and I think it's really cool that Stan Lee decided to use the Norse gods in his comic books originally, so can't really be mad at that. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion, and I hope you have a good day. That's all I have for you right now, and I'll see you on the next one. Skål, my friends.